А папу оставили в Киеве. И папа будет продавать что-то, будет помогать нашим героям, нашим войскам будет помогать, может даже будет воевать.
Putin is not gonna stop in Ukraine. Some big news just broke. The Kremlin has announced the Russian goal for the second phase of the war, and it's terrifying. The Kremlin says that once Russia has taken the Donbas region, they'll then move to take the entire Ukrainian south and link up with Transnistria. Now, to those of you who don't know, Transnistria is a breakaway part of the country of Moldova. It is, like part of the Donbas region, also controlled by Russian separatists supported by Vladimir Putin. Furthermore, Transnistria has ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union been home to at least 1,000 Russian soldiers. This means that if Putin has success in eastern and southern Ukraine, Russian troops are going to enter Transnistria, which, as I said, is part of Moldova. Now, Moldova, like Ukraine, isn't a part of NATO yet. That means Putin isn't going to think twice about sending his troops across the border. However, there's absolutely no way whatsoever that NATO would allow Russia to invade yet another European country. So, we have to come to terms with the scary yet extremely important fact. If Vlad the Mad achieves success in the Ukrainian east and the Ukrainian south, it will mean war between NATO and Russia. A Russian victory in the east, however, still remains to be seen. As you know, the large Russian offensive in the east began a few days ago. The offensive, however, is moving so slow that it is almost at a complete standstill at the moment. Heavy fighting is reported in the Kherson region, where the Russians attempted to advance near the village of Trodolyubivka. The attack was firmly denied by the Ukrainian army. And once again, near Izium, where Russian attacks were beaten back close to the villages of Savvadi and Vernopila, as the Russian ground offensive goes into a standstill, the shelling begins. Russian artillery aimed at civilian targets struck down in several Ukrainian cities. In Kharkiv, intense shelling is reported, the Russians apparently targeting a large shopping mall. Several civilians are reported to have lost their lives in the city. In Severodonetsk and Popasna, civilians were once again in Vladimir Putin's crosshair, as several apartment blocks were struck by Russian artillery. We don't know how many people had their lives taken away from them in these attacks yet. Many civilians are reported to be wounded though. Along the Zaporizhia front line, the Russians shelled at least 15 villages using tanks, mortars and howitzers. In one of these villages, the Russians hit an only 6-year-old girl. To sum up, the entire front line is basically static at this moment, as the Ukrainian army are effectively stopping the Russians wherever they try to advance. Take a look at this footage. What you are seeing is Ukrainian artillery destroying a whole column of Russian tanks. Now it seems like the Russian army is also facing mutiny. Apparently not all Russian soldiers are equally fond of shooting innocent civilians. In the occupied Polgovsky district, 3 Russian soldiers who just wanted to go home were brutally executed by Ramzan Kadyrov's Chechen barbarians. The Chechens apparently wanting to make an example of them. The Russian army has absolutely zero respect for human life, not even the lives of their own soldiers. This is most of all reminiscent of World War II, where it was perfectly normal for Soviet political commissars to open fire on their own soldiers if they didn't want to be used as cannon fodder. The pro-Kremlin media outlet Vidovka has apparently disclosed the official Russian casualty count by mistake. They did so in a now deleted VK post. According to them, the Russian Defense Ministry said at a close briefing that the Russian army has lost more than 13,000 soldiers in Ukraine, plus more than 7,000 who are missing. They furthermore said that at least 116 sailors lost their lives on the Moskva, the flagship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet that the Ukrainians sank a week ago. More than 100 sailors are still missing. Now those are already very big numbers, and being the official Kremlin count, we can expect them to be even higher. In Mariupol, Kadyrov's TikTok soldiers are already celebrating victory. I guess taking 2/3 of the city is apparently enough for their Instagram posts. Vladimir Putin, however, has ordered his army to seal off and lay siege to the Azovstal steel plant. He's basically admitting that his army can't beat the Ukrainians still defending the city. Thousands of civilians are still hiding from the Russian bombs in the basement of the steel plant, where they are under the protection of the Ukrainian army. Now the brave Ukrainian soldiers are giving the invaders such a beating that the heroic regiment officer of the Azov battalion, Ilya Samoilenko, has come out and said that even though they would of course like more help, they can hold their own. And they are still firmly in control of the entire Azovstal plant.
They're showing their cowardly face to the world right now, claiming that the Mariupol is taken. Mariupol is not taken. If somebody can ask, do we need help? Yes, of course we need help. But we do not need to be rescued. We can rescue others, and we are rescuing others. Thousands of people still, civilian people, still hiding in the basements and in shelters on the territory of Azovstal. They escaped from the city to find cover here, under the coverage, under the protection of Ukrainian soldiers. And what they are receiving, the Russian indiscriminate fire. Despite the accusations of the Russian ministers and Russian president that they took control over the city. Yes, this statement was made today, but you know what? They do not control all of the city. We still control the Azovstal steelworks, and we're still fighting. We destroyed 1 tank today, 2 armored fighting vehicles, and 1 armored personnel carrier. And the numbers of enemy losses are still increasing.
Now these are definitely the best news we have heard come out of Mariupol for a long time. However, 12 miles east of the city, satellite images revealed the Russians have dug an absolutely enormous mass grave. This mass grave is more than 20 times larger than the one the Russians dug in Bucha. It can hold more than 9,000 bodies. It is expected that the Russians have filled this mass grave with the bodies of the more than 22,000 innocent civilians who they took the lives of in Mariupol. 22,000 men, women and children with hopes and dreams like the rest of us. 22,000 Europeans who never in their lives had done anything to either Russia or Vladimir Putin. Their only crime was being Ukrainian. By committing atrocities as terrible as these, Vladimir Putin and Russia have rewinded the time on the continent back to the 1940s. Knowing the Russian plan of action should they achieve victory in Ukraine, knowing for certain that Moldova is next on Putin's list, means we now know how much the battle for the Donbass means. This battle will not only decide the future for Ukraine, it will decide the future for Europe. Our continent is at stake, and the choices we make now will echo for 100 years. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please go and give it a like. If you want more content like this, please go and subscribe to my channel.